learnt so much from this conference because on the TV show that I work for, ITV Meridian's 6 o'clock news programme in the south and southeast, we cover asbestos-related stories on a fairly regular basis. But nothing, I think, can ever bring home the absolute horror and the seriousness of asbestos and asbestos-related diseases as I've seen today. It's been an absolute lesson for me.
It's good because you get a lot of duty holders at this event, so it's good to sort of run ideas by people, see how they're doing it. Also speak to other members of Lucian who are in the consultancy roles, see what their sort of opinion is on the other side of the fence to the duty holders.
Licensed contractors are still at risk in enclosures, but the evidence is not suggesting that because HSE believes in many instances the personal sampling which is carried out is not informative enough.
It's been really useful, it's really good. I think the enclosure ventilation one's been really useful, more so because there is a practical element to it. The enclosure, you can actually see it as opposed to just seeing the slides where it's a bit more difficult to put it into sort of practice, whereas the actual demonstration was really useful.
Latency simply means that there's a long time difference between the exposure itself and the potential that exposure will cause disease. And for asbestos, that's probably, in most reasonably exposed people, that's at least 10 years. There are some reports of a lesser time than that, but that has to be a very heavy exposure. And all these diseases can occur 40, 50, 60 years after the exposures cease. So I'm seeing people who are in their 70s and 80s who have been exposed 50 years previously and not been exposed since then. So these things can cause problems for many years.
I love Dr. Chris Warburton talking about the effects of asbestosis and asbestos on the human body. Absolutely shocking that was. It was such a graphic talk he gave.
Have we seen any incidents of asbestos removal workers presenting with problems?
What we often find is that those people who come to our attention who worked in asbestos removal more recently have done it historically before a lot of the changes happened.
It's very informative. It's been interesting to hear some of the speakers and see some of the demonstrations. So yeah, it's been very interesting.
The European Union is saying eradicate, and this is a word I'll come back to, eradicate. They say we should eradicate asbestos. Eradicate it means to get completely rid of it. To get rid of it, and that, if you Google eradicate, it gives you that example, the disease has been eradicated from the world. Well, that's what we want to see for asbestos. And that's what I want to focus on, that we've not got this right. We've got this wrong over the last several decades.
I've made some excellent contacts. All the exhibitors are willing and able to discuss specifics. A number of issues that I've raised where I've had some very positive feedback, and it's been very worthwhile. And you can approach the speakers or their companies and get their advice and guidance.
Once you take dust samples and you find asbestos in those dust samples, you have no choice but to decontaminate that area, because that duty holder will not walk away from that situation. That duty holder will not comfortably manage that situation knowing there's some level of asbestos in that dust.
I really knew nothing. Apart from the research I'd done coming in here today, I've learned so much, and it's been a thoroughly worthwhile experience, and I'd recommend it to anybody to come, look, listen and learn and meet some really nice people as well.